What's up, Resonate family? Pastor Jason here, and I'm making another video. Can you believe it? But this time I'm in my backyard, and I wanted to get in touch with you because I had a great conversation with one of our brothers this week about some of the language that we've been using as we're just all kind of continuing to process. And he brought up a couple of things that I thought were just really right on and that they might be helpful for us as we're continuing to process. The first is we've used the term, or I've used the term, can you be on mission here at Resonate Hayward? And I think that phrase can maybe come off as, can you do all the good things that you're supposed to do as a member? And maybe you don't get stuck on that phrase, but as he and I were talking, he said maybe a better way to phrase it would be, can you still hear from Jesus here at Resonate Church? And I think that's actually a really great way to put it. My number one priority is I want to continue to help all of us to see the beauty and the wonder of our King Jesus Christ. And more than anything else, my prayer is that you and I are able to hear from Jesus so that we can follow him. And so I just think that might be a great way to put it. Can you hear from Jesus here at Resonate Hayward? But then secondly, what does that process look like? And we're asking a lot of hard and healthy questions about our future involvement here at Resonate. And many of us are, again, hurting for legitimate reasons, or we're asking some really good questions about kind of where our church has been and where we're going. And I would say even, honestly, even if we hadn't gone through the last few months as a church, like what we've gone through, these would still be great questions to ask. So let me give you a framework of maybe a healthy way to go through this process and an unhealthy way. A healthy way starts with humility, and it's acknowledging that God's perspective is far superior to our own, that he sees things that we don't. And so in prayer and fasting, we're going to the Lord, we're coming before him, and we're saying, God, what should I do? What would you have me do? And so these spiritual practices are leading us into deeper communion with God, and we're walking by faith. And along with that, we're having really good and honest and humble conversations with other believers, with other members at our church who have our best interests in mind, but also the church's best interest in mind. And the reason why both of those are important is because as much as we all want to be thriving and walking with the Lord in this season, my hope is that any conversation we have would be to consider what is best for the church at this time too, because I think that's an important question as well. So I think that's a healthy way to process and answer the question. But I want to give you a few ways to look at it too on what might be an unhealthy way to process. The first is we are avoiding the conversation completely. We're procrastinating. We don't want to talk about it. We feel this hurt, but it just feels like it's too much. And we're choosing to not actually do anything. We're just sitting in our hurt and not processing, not praying, not talking, just kind of sitting and being hurt. And sometimes for a season, that's okay. But eventually we need to bring these hurts out and let the light of the gospel and the love of our fellow brothers and sisters to shine on them in order to make progress. The second unhealthy way is to make a decision either in isolation or in an echo chamber. Now, in isolation means we're not seeking the Lord and we're not seeking anybody else's counsel. But the echo chamber is when we get people around us that already agree with us, and no one really pushes us to consider another way or another perspective. And that can be a little tricky. The third way is using God as a stamp instead of a shepherd. And this is where we have already decided what we want and our decision has been made. And really, we're just kind of using God or asking him to bless our decision, kind of to rubber stamp what we've chosen. And I think that's not a healthy way. I think instead we should say, God, what do you want me to do? And then finally, I think an unhealthy thing is to obsess over clarity instead of trusting in God's character. You know, a lot of times we want to make decisions and we're like, until I get 100% clarity, I'm not going to make a decision. But unfortunately, that we will stay locked in place forever if that is our perspective, because God actually wants us to God actually wants us to trust him even when we don't see everything that's laid out before us. So anyway, I just hope that that's perspective. Can you hear from the Lord while here at Resonate? I hope you can. I truly hope that you can. I can hear the rooster that just crowed. I hope that you can hear from the Lord, and I pray that you continue to pray and process and go through this wrestling with the Lord in a healthy way, and one that brings you to the right place where He wants you to go. I love you, praying for you, and I can't wait to see you again soon. God bless.